Aye.
We can hear Sal, but we can't see him.
Well, his internet is intermittent, so it's better that we can't see him.
It's better that we can't see him at all.
I didn't mean it that way.
That's all right.
Usually it's better if we can see him and can't hear him.
All right, Mike, you're recording now and you're live streaming, so you're all set to start.
Very good. So it's 7 o'clock. So why don't we begin the meeting? The first item of business, as always, is the minutes from our previous meeting, which was January 4th. Has everyone had a chance to be able to look at them and
Look okay.
okay?
Yep.
I make a motion that we accept them as submitted.
Very good.
I'll second that.
Well, thank you.
Just so we have,
All those in,
All in favor?
for the record, we might need to state for those that are only watching this remotely, who's actually here, and then if it's unanimous, then you can state that.
okay. So the attendance at the moment is Sal Marnarski, Dave Boschman, Richard Ross, Bob Murphy, and Mary Sattel.
Yep.
And myself, Mike Steve.
Okay.
And so we just entertained a motion by Bob Murphy to approve the minutes, seconded by Sal. And is anyone opposed?
No, but I'm abstaining because I wasn't there at the last meeting.
Okay,
And that would be Dave Bolshman who abstained.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you. So the new business this evening has to do with two possible additions or edits to the zoning ordinance that were prompted by a letter from the building official, Peter Medeiros, to the town council. One had to do with runoff, one has to do with accessory uses. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone got a copy of the motion from the council and
Yes.
what
Yes.
Peter had requested of the council.
Mhm.
So then the council entertained that letter and approved it and forwarded it on to us for our consultation and advice. So subsequent to that, I then, after receiving this, met with Peter and got clarity on what he wanted to do and why. And so then Wortham basically drafted two possibilities for us to consider that reflect what he would like. And so the first one is a requirement for any new or added structure over 600 square feet to implement a stormwater mitigation plan. Now, this is part of a code that's already in from the state standpoint, and we've incorporated it into the solar ordinance, but it's nowhere else in our ordinance system. So here, Carol has put the recommended standards up. So it falls into the category of general performance standards for all uses.
Mhm.
And we have A, B, C, D. I can't scroll this, I don't think.
I know, I'm trying to.
It's under J. It's J.
It's the last one.
Right.
So
There
we just added another paragraph, J, which would then call out stormwater mitigation plan. and that the approval of any structure or addition to an existing structure that is 600 square feet or greater must implement a stormwater mitigation plan for on-site drainage containment per the Rhode Island Stormwater Design Installation Manual and the Rhode Island Soil Erosion and Sediment Control Handbook. So these are, there's no creative writing here. These are all established sentences and the paragraph, and it's just that we've incorporated into the general performance standards of our zoning ordinance, if people think that's a good idea, and what to recommend back to the council.
Michael, this is Sal. I have a question on that item. Is that, it says in addition to an existing or an additional structure also?
Well, I think,
In other words, see, because the way it's written, approve any new structure.
right,
So
which
a
would
new
be an
structure
addition. Well, I would interpret any additional, a new structure to be an incrementally different structure,
Oh,
and in
okay.
addition to an existing structure.
Okay, or an additional structure of an existing structure. In other words, the way that reads to me is an addition to an existing structure would be just a room added on to an existing structure, not an outbuilding, for instance.
Well, it could be.
If it's over
Yeah.
600 square feet, he's saying that it needs to have a storm mitigation.
I
plan, water-
understand. No, that part of it I understand. My question is, if it's not a room, it's a set alone structure, it doesn't lead me to think that when I read that paragraph. I'm all right with what it says. I'm just saying the way it says it, it only sounds like an addition to an existing structure. An addition being an add-on portion to a structure, not
But
an
it-
additional structure.
It starts
you-
off by saying that the approval of any new.
New, yeah.
New.
Yeah, but
Or-
a new structure would be a structure where there is no other structure.
Right,
Right.
No, but that would be a barn. No, I don't think that follows. That would be a barn or a shed that's bigger than 600 square feet. It'd be any
No,
new
that's
structure on
not
the
how it
property.
reads. It
But it
reads,
says,
the approval of any new structure. A new structure means there are no other structures.
Yeah,
So, all right, so that reads wrong. If we're trying to do this, if there's, for instance, a shed or a barn or something, it doesn't read that way.
If
Look,
it's, so Sal, you're thinking that if
I've
you,
read tons of specifications. I'm listening.
so your interpretation is a new structure that is incremental to what's on the property already is not covered by this paragraph.
That's correct. It is not covered.
And how would you,
How'd you rewrite
Well,
it?
I would say the approval of any new structure. All right, any new structure in addition to an existing structure on the same property. Something
Yeah,
of
but-
that nature, because the way this reads is any new structure or addition to an existing structure. So I just think you need something in there to say a set alone structure. All right, in addition to an existing structure on the same property.
Hey, Sal, what if it
what-
said the approval of any new structure and or addition to an existing structure?
No, says the same thing. This says or, you're only adding and.
Yeah,
All right,
but
what about this?
Can I say
Approval-
something?
Yeah.
Can I-
Go ahead, Mary.
What happens if you say the approval of any new structure on the property or an addition to the existing structure that is 600.
That's better, Mary.
Okay,
That's better. Yeah, because the way it reads, I could get around that easily.
All right, why don't we add what Mary said?
Okay, so we've just added that.
That's fine.
Thank you, Carol.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you for entertaining me.
No,
thank you.
we
Okay.
want it to be perfectly clear.
Yeah, yeah. I read that a few times last night, and I'm saying,
Okay,
All right.
Okay,
All
good.
right, that's it.
I like it.
All right. Now,
so I think that we, if everybody likes it, then we need to entertain a motion to send this to the town, back to the town council for consideration and the scheduling of a public hearing.
I
a
make
mo-
that motion.
go ahead. Mary made the
I'll second
motion.
it. I'll second it.
Is that the right motion, Carol?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
All right,
So who made the motion?
I
Sal.
did.
Sal and Mary seconded.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Is anybody opposed? No, all right. Thank you. So now the second request has to do with the clarification in the use table 1B for the accessory uses. And apparently this came about whether or not the accessory use table specifically permits sleeping quarters in accessory structures. And so, Carol, if we could please put up the
Do I not have that up?
right now, we still have stormwater up.
All right, let me leave. All right, let me get out of this. Oh,
That's okay.
there we go. I got it. I see. I have it.
you have it?
Well, no, I brought it up on my other computer.
Oh, no, we'll get it, hang on.
Yep.
I thought I could just switch
There
without.
we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this has to do with the accessory use code in table 1B. So the current, as your screen shows there, the current use code is what's in yellow. So what's directed to the building official is where a use is not specifically listed below, such use is not permitted unless the building official shall pursuant to blah, blah, blah. So it falls on him to try to define what's permitted and what's not permitted. And the table of use codes is not terribly specific. Plus, what this had to do with sleeping quarters, and in the town council meetings discussion, an example was brought up of people who have an outbuilding where their grandchildren, sleep in the summertime, and it has no bathroom and no facilities. And so it falls into one of these gray areas. And so what we discussed was where a use is not specifically listed below in the tables. Such use is not permitted without a special use permit from the board. And so what that would relieve the building official from dealing one-on-one with someone to try to define a use that's not listed specifically in the code. And it would then ask the applicant to apply for a special use permit, which would notify the abutters and get definition to exactly what was being permitted and not permitted.
I think it's a good-
Mhm.
I think Mary's calling her dog.
Yeah, sorry,
That's all right.
sorry.
As long as he comes.
Well, I'm afraid that she doesn't because we've been having a lot of coyotes recently and
Oh,
makes me
wow.
nervous. Oh, well, she's out there somewhere.
Go
Go
get
ahead,
him,
sorry.
Mary.
No, it's all right.
She can't go far with all the snow, Mayor.
Oh, you'd be
I know.
surprised.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Do I understand that we're trying to say that they're gonna have to notify the building official if they wanna put sleeping quarters in over the garage?
I would say yes to that. What determines if you're want a building permit to do something, you have to go to the building official.
Right.
Bedroom.
And he has to look, and if it's an accessory use, it has to be in the table in order for him to give you a building permit. And if it's not in the table, and I would say, although I don't want to be too specific, but as his interpretation, which is why he brought this up, is there's no clear guidance for him about sleeping quarters and what's permitted and what's not permitted in accessory dwellings.
Well, isn't, I may look at it differently than that. Every home has specific bathrooms dictated by the ISDS. And if you're utilizing any other structure on the property with additional bedrooms where the ISDS does not permit it, I would think that's clear.
Well, I mean, I'm not in a position to try to debate or defend his perspective, but I would agree with you if you're dealing with an accessory family dwelling or something that is going to have bedrooms and a bathroom, etc. You know, there's all these gradients of what sleeping quarters are going to turn into. You know, do you have,
Yeah,
does it have a bathroom? Doesn't have a bathroom? Does it have no kitchen? Does it have, well, not a kitchen sink, but a small wash basin? It gets really complicated.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And I think that what has happened in some situations is that people come to the building official and say, well, what are you permitting? And, you know, as I read the code, there's nothing there that permits that. So
Would you need a building permit if you were gonna, let's say you had a room over the garage or you had a dormer that was closed off, but now you open up the dormer and put a bed in it? Would you have to go get a building permit for that?
to put a bed in an open space?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this sounds like. I mean, I can see if you're gonna put put a bedroom in over the garage, let's say, that's the only reason I could think of, and you were gonna put a sink in there, as you say, and or a john or whatever, you would have to go get a building permit because now you got to go get a plumber, a licensed plumber, and what have you.
not just that, the garage has to be fire coded
Right. Right.
for anything above it, and you need egress and ingress and the certain amount of windows to make it a bedroom. So I'm just
I
I
think,
think you sort of make the point. You've all sort of
Yeah.
laid out various degrees and what is and what is not permitted or might be permitted and what the code says, and the code is not clear on this subject.
and I think that's why he's asking for help, because it's not clear.
Correct.
Yeah, I see
And so he
that.
wants to turn to the board and say, hey, look at this and see what you think.
Well, I think
Well,
if we
this-
put in something like if the mechanics have to be, if mechanics are gonna be put into a room, whether it's over the garage or a dormer or an attic or whatever, if mechanics are put in where you would have to get a licensed electrician and a licensed plumber and a licensed insulator, then yeah.
I
I
think
would
he's
say-
asking when no mechanics are put in, when nothing
Yeah.
is done, when they're just using it for a bedroom. That's what
Right.
he's looking at. Yeah.
To
Well,
your point,
But I
Sal,
think,
what's the distinction between sleeping quarters and a bedroom? Perhaps what the zoning code needs to do is define what's meant by a bedroom.
Right, right.
Well,
But it's
that's
more than
already
that.
defined in the
It's-
code.
I think you're being too specific. He's getting requests about office space. I mean, there's a whole list of things he's getting questions about
But
that aren't
those
don't-
specifically mentioned in the specifications.
I mean,
From
one,
what I'm hearing here, what we're adding as new isn't really clarifying anything either.
But it's saying if you fall outside of the list, you need to go get a special use permit from the board.
but I mean, if you take a den and turn it into a bedroom, I mean, you're gonna have to go get a building permit.
You probably don't, but if your septic system is for only, 3-bedroom and then you turn a den into a bedroom and then you're now 4 bedrooms, then you need to change your septic system.
I think we're deviating a little bit. This
Yeah.
specifically is about accessory structures. So we're not adding a bedroom in the principal dwelling. And it's not exclusively, I would say, not exclusively sleeping quarters.
It's not, right?
The way the current ordinance reads, that anything that's not specifically permitted, all right? And so I'm going to say by design, our current zoning has not gone into infinite detail about trying to define every possible use. There's been a degree of acceptance and flexibility, and that's in his opinion, he needs a little more support.
And what happens, sorry to interrupt, but what happens when we go in to get a permit, and then there's a new building inspector there, because generally they usually stay only like 3 or 4 or 5 years. All of a sudden things are allowed that weren't allowed before. And so this would really help, that the decision-making would partly be going to a board that would be maybe more consistent.
I think that's the best reason I've heard so far, Richard. This kind of narrows it all down to a list, and anything else is by approval,
Right.
Right.
period. Yeah, so I'm for it.
May I ask for a clarification? Is it the case that the paragraph that is under C that has the green language would be substituted in its entirety for the paragraph that is just above it, also labeled C, with the language in yellow?
That's correct. So the
So the
proposal,
provision that would require the building official upon request to provide the use code to anyone who wanted to know would be removed.
well, the use code is presented to the building official when there's a request for a building permit as to
But
what.
this would remove that obligation on the part of the building official because it doesn't contain any language to that effect.
But it says where use is not specifically listed.
Yes, but in the present paragraph, in present paragraph C, there's a provision that allows, and the way it's referred to is any requesting party for a determination on the part of the building official as to what use code this permit was granted under. And that is removed in this paragraph. And I'm curious why that would be the case.
Because there is no relevant use code for him to
Apply it.
But there
apply.
must be, because then what you're saying then is that every single application would have to go to the zoning board for a special use permit.
No,
Clearly
there
there's
are
no-
a lot. There
If
are,
it's specific-
They're listed.
And that's my point. It doesn't say, it says the official shall, upon written request, provide written information to the requesting party as to the determination that the use is included within the appropriate use code number. So that is for any application that would fall within the purview of the building official. Clearly, what the new language would accept those, because those would be referred to the zoning board. But at present, this would remove anyone's ability to request to the building official what allowed him to grant a permit on what basis.
well, I believe that this says, where a use is not specifically listed below. So if such a use is not listed in the code currently, he is not able to give a building permit.
But he also is not required to furnish the use code to anyone who's asking.
Oh, I would take issue with that, but I think he, by virtue of the fact, if someone walks in, you or anybody else, and says, it says I can have this, here's the use code, he's not going to object to that. There's no reason for him to say it's
Right.
specifically listed below, and he's,
I know of one instance, Mike, where he failed to provide that information where it was requested. And I find it curious that in the present paragraph, that provision is included. If it is that obvious, why would it be included at present? And why would it be removed in the substitute paragraph? I don't see
Okay,
any
so what-
harm in maintaining that language.
so let's find it. So let's go where we are. You're okay with the green to an extent, is that what and then what do you want
Sure.
to add to that?
Well, I just find it curious that there is no longer, the way that the substitute paragraph reads, there's nothing that compels the building official to provide that. I mean, do you have to make an access to public records request to find out what the use code is? I don't, because there's nothing, you could walk into his office and he could say, well, sorry, it's not required of me. So I think that
But I think
maintaining.
what I think was happening is that people were coming in with things that weren't on the list. And they were asking him to write, basically explain why it wasn't on the list.
So my understanding is that this arises out of a situation, and my understanding in full disclosure is that it was my brother-in-law who requested the information of the building inspector, but where a permit was granted simultaneously for single home construction and concurrently to have an in-law apartment. So the way that the zoning reads is that the in-law apartment is allowed after a period of 2 years. An accessory structure is allowed, but only if you had 3 acres. Neither of those conditions was applicable in this particular instance. When my brother-in-law asked the building official what use code permitted this construction to go on simultaneously, he did not respond. He then took it to the zoning board, but the way that this reads, the requesting party shall have the right to appeal. The zoning board understood appeal in its technical sense, that is to require a $250 appeal fee. And then they also recognized that there was nothing to appeal because the building official had failed to provide the use code that was requested.
Or a determination.
Even we have this language at present, and it was what I'm trying to say, and the building official didn't provide it. So I don't see what would compel him to provide, him or her in the future to provide it.
Right.
If I understand your example, the building official did not give a building permit for what was built?
The building official, there was a permit that was granted, and they were issued simultaneously. One for new house construction, and on that same lot, for an in-law apartment. And the way that the zoning provision requires, what the zoning provision requires for an in-law apartment is a 2-year sort of grace period before you can apply for it. And the accessory structure is limited to a 3-acre lot, or 3 acres or more. And neither of those conditions was present for this particular lot.
So I don't understand why you couldn't appeal the building permit if that was the case.
So the language in C is not about the appealing the building permit. It was that the use code was requested that allowed this to happen simultaneously. But the building inspector did not respond at all with a use
So
code.
are you saying that the building official didn't make a determination for to the requesting party?
That is correct.
All right.
And
But he had made it, but he
Can I
had
say
made it,
something?
but he had made a determination to the person who got the building permit.
Apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
Can
Carol,
I say,
you want to say something, Carol?
yeah, I do. One, there was an email sent, albeit it was after the 15 calendar days. Part of that 15 calendar day, the building inspector was away on vacation and not in the town hall and not able to access his emails. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying there was some underlying problems with the timing of the request and the fact that it wasn't answered in a timely fashion.
But Carol, just to clarify, and I do understand that the present language for C doesn't allow for exceptions. It says clearly 15 days, 15 calendar days, not even 15 business days. But the reply that was received did not contain the requested information. Is that a fair assessment of what transpired?
It could be. I did not read the reply. I was just told there was one.
Is the building official here? I can't see on my
No.
screen if this is just.
No, he's not. So I think it's a little unfair in that sense because we don't have him to say anything about it. Since I'm opening my big mouth here, is there a problem or would there be a problem with adding the green language to follow after the yellow language?
I wouldn't think so, but I also think that the yellow language is slightly ambiguous itself, and could be tightened up.
How would you rewrite it?
Wouldn't the green language then contradict the yellow language?
Yes.
No, because the yellow where we're reading automatically sets the condition where a use is not specifically listed below. So the only thing that the green adds is that discretion is kind of removed from, or the obligation to clarify it is placed on the zoning board rather than on the building official.
Another comment from me. I believe the council's intent was to ask you to clarify the definition of sleeping quarters versus bedroom.
Where
And
Whoa.
where was that?
That's
that?
Oh,
the question right there. How do you distinguish them without defining a bedroom?
Yeah.
well, a bedroom is defined in the building code. A bedroom is defined in the building code, and a bedroom has a number of different definitions in
Elements.
space, height of windows, glass area,
Closet.
closet, doorway. Yeah, so the bedroom is already defined, but I can't see why they would want a bedroom defined unless it's in an outbuilding, and whether sleeping quarters are a bedroom. Of course they are. And if you're using an outbuilding as sleeping quarters, and it's not part of the original structure, that brings in a whole new gamut of items. because sleeping quarters are what defines the ability of a septic system to operate on in a given parcel. And it's not bathrooms we count, it's bedrooms. That's what defines the flow for a septic system. So if you're adding bedrooms, I think you got to prove that your system will allow it.
Right.
That's a simple way.
But if you're adding sleeping quarters, then you're saying that you don't have to add
Yes.
anything to your septic?
Yes, you do. Sleeping quarters and bedrooms are the same thing, in my view.
Yeah, I think we're saying that, but I don't think the building code says that.
Well, I
It
think
doesn't
that's
say-
the way to approach it.
So
Sleeping
Does it,
quarters
where
and
does
a
it
bedroom.
say sleeping quarters in the building code? Sleeping
It
quarters?
doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. See, it's just a bedroom. See, I would call sleeping quarters a bedroom and say, if you're adding a bedroom, you got to prove that the system will allow it.
Right.
That's the easiest way.
The
Because
only
now
problem
even
the only problem that I can see is if some, I'm sitting in my den. If I wanted to turn this den in and take my desk out and put a bed in here and say, okay, my company can sleep in the den. Now that becomes just a sleeping quarters, not what I would classify as a bedroom, because I don't have a closet, I don't have this, I don't have that.
yes,
But however, wait a minute, so, but however, if I then go ahead and I put this house up for sale and I now say, well, it's not a 3-bedroom house, it's a 4-bedroom house, but on the tax form, it actually lists as a 3-bedroom house and the septic system is only approved for a 3-bedroom house, that's where I would wind up in problems down the road. I could only say that it's a 3-bedroom house. But am I
Well,
gonna go get a building permit to put a bed in my den? I don't know about that.
well, no, but it's the same thing as you having a couch that opens up and somebody can sleep on it. We're not
Right.
talking about a 1 or 2 use situation. We're talking about somebody that takes a den and makes a bedroom out of it.
Right.
That's different, because now that septic system is going to feel the load of those additional people. I'm not talking about whether you allow somebody in
Well,
den 2 or 3 nights.
I
What
agree
I'm
with you,
saying is,
but everything is circling around. What's the difference between sleeping and bedroom?
no, we're into the principal residence. I think we have to go back to specifically, we're talking about accessory structures.
Right.
Okay, not the principal structure. And so I'm going back to Ed sort of approach, so that if you kept the yellow, right? So that upon written request, provided information to the requesting party as to the determination that the use is, or I would say is or is not included in the appropriate use code within 15 calendar days. The problem, I think, for the building official is in the event, so what we're saying here, in the event that no response is provided, then you can do what you want to do.
oh
Or you
no,
can, the right to appeal. So his desire is that if the use code is not specifically listed, so therefore he doesn't believe he has grounds to issue the building permit. So then I think Ed's position is, well, then upon written request, you got to provide the information as to
well,
where
I
it's
think
not.
the building application, the building permit application requires zoning to write off on it.
It's-
And I think, hello?
We're talking about the zoning official here. So he's the one
Yes,
that either,
yes. Yeah, the zoning official and the building official have to, am I right now, Carol, that the building official acting as the zoning official has to write off on the building permit. He has to sign off. So he's got to give a yes or a no, and he's got to give reasoning.
Yes.
That's correct. And so what he's saying, Sal, is he doesn't feel that he can give a yes or a no because it's not specifically listed in the use code.
Yeah, I understand that.
All right, so so what we're wrestling with here is when it's not listed in the use, specifically listed, what should he do?
He says no.
Huh?
He
It
says
should come to
no.
this board.
So we're
Yes.
saying, it says no, all right, and then you're faced with, or the applicant's faced with appealing his decision. And so what he's saying is, have the applicant go for a special use permit because it's not clearly defined.
Well,
Why don't we go back?
my way of thinking, listen, I was both the zoning official and a building official. If he says no, he's got to give a reason. Once he gives a reason, that's really not an appeal. What he's going to do, he's going to direct them to the zoning board and say, it's not listed under that's why we're talking about doing this. He's going to say it's not listed, so you have to get a special use permit, and then I can approve it. That's all. So we
Right.
approve this, and that bails him out. He's not making that determination, which doesn't push it into appeal.
If we go back to Peter's letter and look at item number 2, he's asking for a definition to be added to table 1B. I don't know how it got to be 1B and 1C over here.
I think he's asking for
whether or
definitive
not-
clarification.
Yeah, on whether or not sleeping quarters are allowed in accessory structures such as garage, studios, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he's actually talking about nothing in the main house or the main building. He's talking about
The accessory.
accessory. So I think we ought to just address this on the accessory thing, not taking my den and converting it into a bedroom, but for me to put
Well, it is a bedroom.
put a barn out back and make it into a sleeping quarters or a bedroom. And there's nothing in there that tells him what to do if I go to him and say, hey, I want to put a bedroom in my barn out back. So I think we ought to address just what he's asking for is, and then I think we should say something like we should add to the code saying any accessory building not part of the original building or the main building needs to have approval by the building inspector and the zoning officer to put in a bedroom.
It already has that, Bob, in addition to the requirement for 3 acres, unless it's an in-law apartment.
Well,
And
where
then
does it
there's the
where does it say that?
Let me find toggling between computers, but it doesn't, if you're putting in a bedroom in an accessory structure, then it's an accessory dwelling, isn't it?
So what you're
right.
saying, Ed, is what he's asking for in his letter. Does everybody have his letter?
Yes,
I don't,
Yes.
No, I don't.
yeah,
It was sent in the email.
it was sent in an email,
yeah,
yeah.
I have it in email.
Didn't come
I mean, he evidently doesn't know that it's already there, Ed, evidently. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I'm with Sal, and I think that it is, bedroom versus sleeping quarters is distinction without difference. And I think that it's kind of a spurious term. And I think that if you allow for some sort of difference between sleeping quarters and a bedroom, then it's a slippery slope. And every accessory building that's out there is going to have sleeping quarters in it and not a bedroom.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, a sleeping quarter is a bedroom.
Right.
That's right.
I just sent, Carol, I just emailed you a quick paragraph, a quick substitute for C. I don't know if it's something,
Which
I know this isn't a
email?
workshop, and I'm sorry to do this to you.
That's okay. What email did you send it to, though?
Hang on. I sent it to Carol Wardell, C. Wardell, littlecomptonri.org.
Okay, can you forward it to Little Compton Clerk at Gmail?
Little Compton Town Clerk
Are
at
you guys seeing this? I'm gonna pause my share.
Okay, I just
Are
forwarded.
you sending it to us at email?
She's gonna put it up on the screen.
I just gotta get it. Refresh.
The other thing, according to Peter, we ought to really be talking about the use table 1B for Bravo.
This is item C in that table.
Okay.
He is the label for the table.
Wow.
I don't see it coming in here. Did you type it correct?
Probably not, Carol. I'm sorry. Let me say now. Little Compton Town.
Clerk?
Yeah, sorry. I'm checking my spelling. It's hard with.
Oh, okay.
I think I need number 3 readers, not number 2. Little.
Oh, here it is. I got it.
Okay.
I got it. I got it. All right, let's see. Okay, let's go to download. Sorry, it's gonna take me a second here to get it up. Keep talking.
Let me go back to.
So Mike, you were saying that 1B is part of C?
You have a table, 1B,
Yeah,
which lists accessory uses,
right.
and we're focused on item C in that table.
Oh, okay, because what I got in front of me looks like A, B, C.
Yeah, those are ABC uses
Right.
in that
Okay.
table.
In that table, okay.
Can you see the new screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I can, but I can't read it very well.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, hang on. I'll make it larger.
Thank you.
Well,
Ah, good.
Perfect.
wow, that's nice. Wow. I can take my glasses off now, Carol.
Not me, I can't.
Uh-oh. Carol, you can, Mary, you can borrow mine.
Oh, I have my glasses on. I'm all right.
What?
Okay.
Written explanatory request from the permit that use is included within the appropriate use code. Such a request upon each petition the board for determination. That looks good to me.
I'm not sure if the only thing that I wanted to distinguish was if the building official doesn't respond, then as the zoning board pointed out, there's nothing to appeal. So I
That's
just
right.
wanted to remove the word appeal, and in that case, it would allow for them to petition the board.
Yep.
But if they do get a determination and you don't like it, well, then in that case, it's an appeal and it costs you $250.
Yep.
So, but you're not suggesting, or I'm just interested in your thought as to why you wouldn't want the person to apply for a special use permit.
In the very first, I think, hang on, I can't even now get this, but I think in the very first
It
sentence.
says right at the beginning.
Yeah, right in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, where a use is not specifically listed below.
Without a special use permit.
Yeah.
I just copied the language from the green and pasted it in the first sentence. Added on that without a special use permit, really.
Okay.
I like
Yep.
that. I like that.
So you just put it up on top.
I just put it up on top.
Very good. And give them the right to appeal.
Bless you.
Yep.
Yep.
This is, this,
But why
this
are we-
reads easy.
But I don't know. It seems like we're gonna open up the door to a lot of special use permits, but
I think you're right.
Or
But
a
I-
lot of determinations,
But you
a
always,
lot of determinations. Maybe you won't get use permits, you'll just get requests.
but you always have the option to ask for a variance or a special use permit if the zoning ordinance doesn't permit it as you want to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we wouldn't want to change that to variance rather than special use?
No, I don't
permit?
think so.
Okay,
No,
all right.
Sorry.
So, and
bless you.
thank you, Ed. And if we like this, then, it's going to be sent to the council as a recommendation, which then they would review. And if they like it as well, then they would schedule a public hearing. So it's not like
Yeah.
this is
right.
anywhere near happening.
And why don't you,
Okay.
why don't you make this, why don't we use this paragraph?
Great.
Does this address, does this address
Sorry.
Peter's number
Yes.
2 on his letter?
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't see anywhere in there on sleeping quarters, but that's all right.
It doesn't have to, because now it's saying where a use is not specifically listed below.
Right.
So throw those people
It
out of your
eliminates
den,
it.
Mr. Murphy.
So
Well,
I just have a question on this. So it sounds like we're doing this verbiage so that the building official does not have to make the determination, correct? That he's not being left to make a determination as to if that use of that space is going within the codes and all that.
If
Oh,
it's
it
within
makes
the
it
code,
easy for him to make a determination.
Say that again?
It said it makes it easy for him to make a determination. The determination is going to be, is it on the list? No? Well, the answer is no.
Right.
There's no gray area.
Okay, so, okay, all right. I follow you. Okay.
So what we're saying is that very first sentence, where the usage is not specifically listed below, such use is not permitted without a special use permit from the board. So in other words, if it's not listed below and they want to put in a bedroom or sleeping quarters in an accessory building, they have to go get a special use permit.
That's right.
Okay, all right. All right, I'll buy that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now that ought to help Peter. In other words, if somebody comes in and it's not listed, he says, well, no, you can't do it. You got to appeal it to the board. Is that when a petition it? Petition it. I mean, we put the word petition in. Petition the board for determination. All right.
okay.
Somebody want to make a motion? I'll make a motion that we take this and we submit it to, who are we going to submit it to? The town council, Mike?
Yeah, well, we're going to send this to the town council for consideration
Right.
and the possible scheduling of a public hearing.
Okay, that's the
second.
motion. That's the motion I make.
And I'll second it.
Okay,
Is there a way that we can get a copy of what we have in front of us?
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
can,
Yes.
we print it?
Well, no, you'd have to print screen. I'll email it to you.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
I just took a picture of it.
You're such a techie. You're just a techie.
I'm telling you.
No, we took a picture of it with his cell phone, I think.
Yeah, I knew it.
I did.
That's,
I did,
that was smart.
exactly.
That was smart.
Right.
All right, I think you have a motion and a second on the floor.
So all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? No? Excellent. So, thank you very much, Ed, for that help.
Good move, Ed.
And we don't have any correspondence to file.
go ahead, Sal.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll
Who would
second that. I'll second that.
Well, I hope only Sal didn't have to shovel out, but everybody else I'm sure is fine. And
What do you mean I had a shovel out? I had it done. I was gonna have it done anyway.
oh, you mean, yeah, you're not here. Forget
Yeah,
it.
you're
Sal.
not here. Doesn't
You're not
count.
here.
No sympathy.
Stick
No
your hand in the
sympathy,
freezer.
no.
Stick your hand in the freezer for half an hour.
So all in favor of our last motion there?
Yep.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you all.